This is my modified Longshot. If this looks familiar, you might have been on my channel for a little while. I actually modified this for Zalaw in May of 2012. Video annotation up here to the build log video, one of the first of its kind on my channel. First time I did one of these build things. Hopefully I've improved since then. But I modified this back in 2012 and it's still running hard. I actually traded it to Zalaw for 2 pump snaps, I believe, and I actually bought it back from him just because I liked it so much and I want to keep it on my wall as a showpiece because he was actually no longer using this. He actually used this in multiple HVZ events. This blaster is responsible for many zombie deaths, and it's still running hard. It performs well, so this is an overview of it. Obviously it's a long shot, and it has pretty much the basic modifications. No angel breach or anything like that. It's actually running on the stock breach, taking out the air restrictor and all of the mechanical locks. In addition to that, I replaced the spring with a K25 spring, added another O-ring, and I believe I have electrical tape underneath the O-rings along with extra lube for a better air seal back there, so you have more power, a more efficient breach, and of course I blocked the air hole in the breach up front. So running a stock breach ensures reliability. You do suffer a little bit on the performance side, but this is still shooting over 100 FPS, so that's more than fine. Especially when you crank it up with K25 and an excellent air seal in the rear there. Performance is phenomenal. External, here's a shotgun grip that actually replaces the bolt handle, so there's no more bolt handle. You can't prime it like this. It's just a shotgun grip that lets you prime with your left hand. Point of that, if you are unaware, is so you can actually shoot faster. Your rate of fire increases with pump action, and it also applies stress equally on the bolt sled from both directions because both bars are on both sides. Instead of a bolt handle where you're pulling on one side, that actually is twisting, and sometimes you can break a bolt sled or apply the force in a weird way to the top of the breech, especially if you have a brass breech. Pump grips are excellent ways to distribute force equally and let your breech last longer. And I also have a priming indicator on this one, which is pretty cool. I have a piece of diffused polycarb right there with the blue LED, and then I have a switch on the back of the plunger rod so the plunger rod will run into it. Obviously the rear of the plunger rod, so when you prime back, the blue LED turns on, indicating that you're actually ready to go. And then when you fire, I'm not going to dry fire this, it actually goes away, so then you know you're not hot. So overall, the performance is phenomenal on this blaster. It's shooting really hard. The breech is running very well, very reliable. He's used this in numerous wars. The shotgun grip increases rate of fire. It could be a little cleaner. This was when I was not as good with my power tools. I'm still not particularly good with tools, but this is definitely when I was not as good. That being, these cuts are just not super perfect, and the polycarb is actually sort of yellow, just out of use and acquiring dirt and random nonsense. But that's it for the performance. Going over the paint job, I believe it started with a gray vinyl dye base. This is not when I was using black as the primary, but the gray vinyl dye is over everything, and then I also have Citadel blue on that, and then Citadel black dry brushing over everything. Some people don't like this dry brushing. I just think it looks really cool, and it was made for Zalaw, and he wanted it, so it was essentially a commission build for him back in the day, and this is how he wanted it, and he really liked it. And I left the orange pieces unpainted to maintain perfect function, and because he's using this on a campus for HVZ and gray's rather dark, you don't want this to look like a firearm, especially when you're running a giant orange stick mag. This doesn't look like a gun. It definitely looks like a toy. $105, 101, 99, 100, 103, 102 feet per second. As you can see, the performance is phenomenal. It's shooting very hard. So overall, very happy with how the project turned out. Once again, I modified this in May of 2012. This is not a modern project or a current project. This was not made for him present tense. He used it since 2012, and he didn't want to use it anymore because he's rocking a Strife now. Who's not? Why are you HVZing with a Springer nowadays anyways? So I actually bought it back from him. So this is in my possession. This one's not going to be for sale because this holds sentimental value to me. I bought it back so I can keep it on my wall and look at it every time I'm modding because I love the paint, I love the blaster. Silly reason, I know, to hold something of this value without wanting to sell it, but I want to keep it, so I'm going to. Surprisingly well kept, though, because I think I put on like 2 or 3 clear coats on this back in the day because I knew he was going to abuse it. No offense, Zalaw, I know you watch my videos, but I knew he was going to abuse it, so I over clear coated it, and it performed well. And considering nothing really moves, the added friction of the clear coat's not a big deal, and it still looks great 2 years later. Yep, so that's the Longshot overview. Questions or comments are welcome. Otherwise, thanks for watching.